Welcome back, everyone, to Bowlero Auburn in Auburn, Massachusetts, and we are here with the champion of our 2022 Storm Roto-Grip 900 Global Tournament of Champions, and it is none other than Mr. Stephen Major winning his first singles title.
Thank you.
Congratulations, Stephen. And in
second singles title. Oh, no, that's right. Doubles was your first.
Doubles was my first one, yeah.
Monroy.
Over under earlier this year.
Yep.
And this is his first singles title, second title overall. And joining us is Mr. El Jefe, putting up a hell of a fight and bowling some fantastic matches against the likes of Scott Widmer and some other folks with very good looks. Chris Forey, also in his role as a broadcast journalist. So thanks for joining us on this interview portion of it. And missed you on the live stream. Jeff Barden filled in beautifully.
I'm sure he did a great job.
We were calling these matches. It was exciting. They were 2-game matches, so they took a little while, had some time to settle in and stuff. But Stephen, I wanted to talk to you about that last game. Really both games. I mean, you compared to Chris, were really able to be at least 5 or 6 boards. Well, there's that. 5 or 6 boards to the left, laying the ball down, and then spinning it with a lot more side rotation out to the break point and able to control that. And it was remarkable. Even watched you on 23 and 4. We were able to spin the ball down the lane. It would go to the break point, and so many other people tried to do that. What would happen is it would hook immediately or wiggle, or they'd throw it out to the right and it would wiggle, or it would hook early. How are you able to control that break point? Are you that good?
No,
I think you might be.
You know, I think it's just knowing. I think it's just knowing how the ball comes off my hand and what it requires to do in order to strike. You know, I don't really have a lot of tilt, but I have a lot of side rotation.
Yeah.
So, you know, it requires me to be a little bit better with my eyes and my surface choices. I think people who tried to spin it through the front also kind of accelerated it a little bit past the break point, so it really wouldn't climb that hill.
That's true. You weren't pushing. You weren't forcing it there.
No, it was naturally
stroking. You were stroking it to that spot.
And I saw that kind of early on. You know, 32 feet. It was 32 feet?
It was 33, but it was reverse buff to like 27, so it netted out to be about 30.
I think people anticipated there being a lot of friction, so a lot of urethane went down the lane, a lot of you know, slow response balls, weaker balls went down the lane. But in practice, you know, early on, I saw that they really weren't climbing the hill.
Right.
And on shorter patterns,
I
you have to get
noticed
the ball
that
to slow
immediately.
down.
I practiced on it Friday and had a lot more recovery off the spot than I did today. So I did notice that myself, that things weren't really responding off the spot
and,
like we expected.
You know, when they're this hard, you really can't swing for the fence. You really got to kind of come in here knowing that you're going to grind, shoot 190 every once in a while. You know, so I came in with a game plan to basically play it safe.
I'd love to shoot 190 every once in a while. That's a great strategy.
I ball next to you, that's all.
You know, so started out with a 2-inch pin hustle. Looked good on the fresh, but once they started to kind of tighten up, I knew I needed to go something bigger to catch it in the mids and then have it set up at the end of the pattern. You know, there's so much free friction at the end of the pattern. You just have to get that ball to see the mids and then kind of stand up, you know, so it doesn't go sideways when you.
So what ball were you using?
Phase 2.
It was a phase. Interesting.
Yep, it was a phase 2.
And how much, did you have a lot of polish on it? Because it looked a little shiny.
It's
like it was going through.
It's been a little.
So it's just
it's been used.
It's lane shine.
Yeah, it's been used.
So you didn't specifically like bring up the surface with any compound or anything.
Nope, because I thought to myself, if I did that, then the ball would hook in the mids and lay off too much because of the urethane push.
Right.
So I just needed. I just relied on my eyes and just good shot making, really not surfaces or trying to make more than what the lanes were giving me.
Well, and Jeff and I were commenting on how pure, and Jeff, you know, Chris too, is how pure your arm swing is. You know, you really have. There's no makeup moves. There's no hitch. There's no force. You really are.
Used to be.
Well, it's very clean now, and your release is really just so quiet when you get through the shot. Like we said, you're not forcing anything to the spot. And you really are bowling as well as I've ever seen you through. You've always had great fundamentals, but have you been working on anything specific to get yourself, you know, with your fundamentals so clean?
It's been a little bit of a 50-50, really. You know, I always believe in the investment outside the bowling center as well as inside the bowling center. You know, your physical game is only going to take you so far when everybody else is just as physically good as you are. You know, we face guys like Alex Aguiar, Van Hees, Monroy, yourself, Forey, you know, Packy Hanrahan when he comes down. So, you know, to rely just on your physical game and what you're able to do on the lanes, I think is a little ignorant of myself. So I put the investment at the gym, go regularly, and
So do we.
you know,
Yeah.
Can you tell?
but
I lift the live stream equipment every week, so it's like.
and just understanding ball motions, understanding how to read patterns. I think that's a big play in it, and strategizing how to manage the day from the gate out. You know, and what decisions to make and when they are. You know,
Doesn't it help to work in a pro shop?
It definitely
Because you're
does.
seeing all the balls come through, and you're working through all of the, all the layouts and everything with other people. And
There's
helping other
definitely
folks.
a little bit more of an understanding in the pro shop world. You know, there's not that guess when you go looking in your bag. You have an idea what this ball does.
I think it can always be good and bad, though, because you can almost know, sometimes you can know a little too much.
Right.
And, so sometimes, like, you can it's great that you've got to that. You haven't, at some point, you can almost overthink it because you almost feel like you know more than everybody else, and you try to, like, you think you have that special
Right.
thing that nobody else is going to see,
Yeah.
Right. And you really outthink yourself sometimes.
Oh, you do.
And
I
you
brought a plastic ball today because I'm like,
Yeah.
and it didn't work for a couple shots.
When you have to push everything
It's
all
Mike
out of the
Marvey,
picture
right?
and focus on that one thought or that one, that one key.
Hey,
it's
sometimes
gonna get it done.
sometimes because you think, obviously you're smarter because you do all this stuff all day,
Yeah.
and so that's sometimes a little thing you can get caught up in. You're like, why am I? Because you feel like you know more than everybody else. Why is it not working?
And that comes down to a conversation that I had with somebody before, that you really can't predict tournament environments. So you can know as much as you want, but you still have to make on-the-fly decisions. You know, I saw you throwing urethane during our match. I think you were further right than I was. Getting the ball to kind of see it in the front and then just kind of.
I had
Not
two
like-
boards, 1 and 2.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh, straight up the dry, just right up the dirt.
And I knew.
Paid off for you all day.
And I knew that, throughout the progress of those two matches, that they were going to tighten up. So I had to continue to move my feet right.
Yep.
And once I saw that I was on top of you, I think I broke up a couple of 2-8-10s. I left a 2-pin here or there. When I went light, I saw that my ball was laboring and seeing that urethane. So I moved like 2 left. Got it a little bit more forward off the end of the pattern, so I would see the mids and just kind of lay off. So that's what I did kind of going into the second game of our match. The first game of the match was really just, for me, and how I went through it the entire day was just keep up with your opponent. If you get ahead, don't do anything stupid.
Well, I'd like to commend Chris for his cool under fire after he goes. Let's see, he goes up in the pocket. Blower 7-10 carries out the 7-pin. Almost a 7-9 in the little high. This is on the left lane, a little high in the pocket, and then finally he stuffs one's flush 8.
Yep.
Stuff 8. Meanwhile, you're going flat 10, carry it, flat 10, trip it out, flat. And not that you didn't deserve it. It's just there was certainly the pocket percentage for you guys was very, very close. But I think, Steven, because you were able to maybe get a little spin, a little bit more
just better
reactive entry angle, through the pocket instead of early roll, which might have been, even with the purple burning out a little bit, Chris, I think you had a little better luck.
Yeah, it's just a matter of
in the
knocking them
pocket.
down.
They say that your ball strikes with the maximum potential when your ball has about 65% of its energy going into the pins. Ball doesn't do anything too erratic. And using a bigger ball, that ball's going to slow down about a foot after the pattern, and it's just going to lose so much energy that I really wasn't going through the pin sideways. So my ball was standing up and going through the break point a little bit more forward. So I was in a very, very safe place.
There were a couple shots you threw. I'm like, at some point. You threw a couple on 25 because I was sitting behind 25, and I'm like, you got a couple left, and I'm like, one of these got a jackknife, and the ball would just stop, and I can't beat. That's why. I'm not trying to be a.
Well,
I'm not trying to be a poor sport, but like in the middle of the game, I'm like, congratulations, because I can't beat that.
It's
He's describing it all the best way. It's like he says, you got it to the back of the pattern, it's rolling forward, not sideways.
There were a couple you got left,
even though he's
got
starting
right. Not they were
sideways.
bad shots, but there were a couple that got up the lane in the front of the lane. I'm like, all right, that could be 4.
Even though he's starting sideways, he's standing up at the right place, and it's going
you
great,
got the right piece of equipment, no matter what.
So
We're all pretty good bowlers.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we're not on tour. We're not tour guys, but even those guys, you need to get the right. You have the wrong piece of equipment, you make the lanes look really bad.
Yeah.
You get the right piece of equipment, your swing frees up, and you can see. You need that little bit left and right.
Yeah.
We're not bowling on the U.S. Open, and I mean, Steven's ball was like, it's like I honestly felt like I had to strike every ball because I watched the bowl game, the first match. I've pretty much watched every match, but I was next to him.
And I feel like a phase 2 is just so much more surface than I could ever possibly tolerate on this. And,
I just didn't have any faith in throwing resin.
To get it to go down and stand up at the right place and everything is really commendable.
Yeah, I had no faith. Me personally, I had no faith in. I mean, obviously, I felt the purple play in 1-2 was the safest bet, and just throwing knuckleballs off of there.
You and a bunch of folks doing that and making it look pretty good.
I felt a lot of people through your thing were going too much left to right.
Yeah.
And so the problem was it reminded me of the nutmeg patterns, the short ones.
Yeah.
Except there you couldn't use your thing, but how the lane just kept getting tighter and tighter and tighter during a game.
Because there's so much oil concentrated in such a small area on the lane.
Speaking of that, can you design more patterns that you can't use urethane on, please? Because I think see more of those.
I'd see now personally. I think urethane is a very good thing because there's a skill to using it. There's truly a skill in using it.
Okay.
So by eliminating that from any kind of lane, because people that are good. Let's look at Andrew. Andrew's really good with it.
He made it look good today.
I'm saying he's really good with urethane.
Absolutely.
I mean,
and you give him a little bit off the edge,
Yeah, but he was. I mean, he was
didn't have
swinging
to throw it that. He didn't have to throw it that hard.
He was pushing more to the right.
Yeah.
So I think when you start trying to eliminate different balls, yes, at nutmeg, yes, the pattern there on the short one, I won't even say it was designed to eliminate urethane. We just noticed it did.
Yeah.
But in general, I think when you try to eliminate certain things, you're taking out the part of the sport that. You know what? Either you're good at it or you're not.
I understand. Well, I just ordered a couple new urethane balls.
You did.
It's kind of part of the landscape.
It'd be great if I got a nice picture. You would have had one.
And all that. Well, I don't think it would have helped, my friend. So it's no problem. But you said you wanted the layout. I didn't know if the picture would be enough. But anyway, we'll figure it out. We'll talk about it now. But anyway, Steven, anybody want to give a shout out to?
I mean, just like as it always is in situations like this, there's so many names that come to mind, and kind of like I iterated when me and Monroe won is, I'm going to thank the obvious people. I'm going to thank my mom. I love my mom. I'm going to thank my father, thank my grandfather, the people that have just supported me through the adventure that this has been, and, I want to thank Aaron, always being supportive of me, my entire family back at home. Steve Dale Jr., Brian Gaskell, the guys that I bowl with every week, talk to on a regular basis. Brian Egan, I was texting him quite a bit during the match, just keeping him updated, kind of talking through my moves, really wasn't so much a ball rep, but just kind of saying what was going on, guys using your thing, gonna move right, game planning, so that I actualized it. There's just so many people that I want to thank, and I think I'm just going to need a little bit to process this. My first singles title being the tournament champion.
And a major.
That's really something, a major, and well earned. There's no fluke about this. You had the best ball reaction, you make the best shots, and you beat a very tough competitor, Chris. I
faced a couple of competitors.
You don't win this tournament without bowling. Obviously, everybody's a champion. Everybody.
You got to beat the best.
Everybody's the best.
Yeah, and every round is somebody tougher.
It's
the best who's already won with a good enough look to make it that far.
Yep.
So that's what you get. So.
Yeah, I mean, you just realize that there's no luck factor in this tournament. I mean,
yeah, there really
sometimes
isn't.
In other events, somebody might have a good block, but they're not going to be growing or fresh again or something like that.
Right.
Here we're just bowling, and every guy that bowls this event are the top guys in NEBA. I mean, in order to win one of these, is obviously everybody knows it's not easy. And now to win this tournament, I mean, one day I'll win it. It's 2 seconds now.
Is that right? 2 seconds. Wow.
And I lost to Missouri when he won 3 in a row.
Oh, geez.
At the TOC.
Wow.
He shot 570 at me, so.
That would have been your 6th title.
Thanks, Bruce.
And, you're welcome. I
plan on not bowling anymore if I would have won today. I was like, it's one of those things like sometimes you feel, obviously you must have felt like at some point you're going to win. I mean, like you have like a look to win. And like game 3, I shot 160 game 2, and game 3, I threw a couple shots, and I finally got far enough right.
Yeah.
And I finally
I saw you struggling, and then I finally saw you just move over and just pipe in the twig.
Yeah. And I said to myself after I threw like a double in game 3, I usually don't say this very often because I just don't think I'm very good, but I'm like, today's the day.
Yeah.
Today's the look that nobody's going to be where I'm at.
You had the look. And that happens.
That was definitely a couple of those comments came out of my mouth early on in match play. You always want to get to match play, and then it's just a completely different ball game. My first set, I shot 490.
I watched it.
495.
I was next to him. I'm like, you had the front 7 or 8. I'm like, Jesus.
And it wasn't by, in my opinion, I don't think that was by accident. You know, all the shots, I knew what the ball was doing.
Yep.
And I went back and I was talking to a few people, and I'm like, listen, like, I have the look to win. And the only way that I don't is if somebody hit me with a bus.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you feel. I mean, literally, I didn't have to, I moved my feet maybe a board on every pair, like a half board just to get better entry angle.
Yep.
Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't have to do anything. Like,
Just seeing the minor differences pair to pair, you know, the topography comes into play.
I could tell the gap between your right leg and the ball return shroud based on where you were lined up on the left lane. I could tell.
Yeah. 21 was the only lane that was a little funky. I had to actually hit the ball a little bit on 21.
Yeah, you were right up against it. 23, you moved left a couple of boards because I could see a
got
gap.
a little drier.
I could see a
it got
gap.
a little dry. That's why the spy came out for 2 shots.
Yep. That's right. Yeah, there you go.
I thought I saw that
That's
come
right.
down the lane a little bit.
Spy.
Got to try anything, you know. I mean, but like I said, I mean, there are days you feel like, and you know, this tournament here, like I said, it's hard, and when you have to have that feeling, and like today, I was just like, oh. Then when I had to bowl Steven, I'm like, I was watching it, and I realized I was going to bowl him. I'm like, this is, and not that any match is easier, because I mean they were all hard, but they all came down to the last couple frames. But I'm like, this one, I really need to strike.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you start like nining, and you're like, okay, now I'm losing wood every frame.
Well, and I think, you know, you really did have some bad luck. I mean, imagine if you carry, you know, 2 out of those 3 wraps on the left lane, you know, instead of down 24, you're now even or plus, you know, going into the last game. That's a whole different dynamic, I think, on the game. You know, meanwhile, Steven's up 20, and then he's up 30, 40.
Yeah, you feel like you're chasing.
Now you're chasing, right.
Yeah, even in
and
the
you're
chasing
working a
game,
little
our worst shot
harder.
was the worst shots in the 5th, and I leave a 4-7 where
It's
where
not the first time we've seen. It's not the first time we've seen carry be, you know, a impacting factor. It's always an impacting factor.
Anytime
Look
you can
at
have a 1 or 2 game match.
Lichtenstein down there with Gray Watts, you know.
Oh, absolutely. Stuff
the
the
Vincent Hall.
the best 9-pin ever.
Yeah, that's right.
It's just
Flush
a variable.
9.
So it's a variable of free fall. Your
I
pin
always
doesn't
think-
hit the ball.
I always just look at, you know what, somebody threw it better. As my father would say, there's no such thing as carry.
Yeah.
They threw it better than you did.
No, it's really true.
And I tell
You know,
people
and
all the
I
time, don't tell me it's not carry, because I said to RJ, I said, I can't throw it better than that. RJ's like, no. I'm like,
You know, and
just take your chances, you know.
I want to complain about a tournament. I look back on this one and I'm like, bowl better.
At the end
Bowl
of the,
better, you won't have any problems.
At the end of the day, somebody's getting their ball to go through the pins
Somebody's
the right
going
way.
to beat you. That's right. That's exactly right.
Today it was this guy.
And today
So
was this
that's
guy,
why I
so-
wanted to sit in the booth. I wanted hats off to him, because it was sitting behind him watching shot after shot. I'm like, I know it might come up. I'm like congratulating him at the end of the first game, and it wasn't trying to be rude. It was like, dude, I can't. I'm not going to catch up to you.
Well, I was glad not to have you in the booth to see you go so far in the tournament, Chris, because you really,
Well, I think I got
really
the-
deserved it. You threw it so well.
Well, thank you. Like
And,
I said, it was.
you had great alignment. I mean, you could tell you're so far right, and with your walk, you know, you were piping it right down 1-2. In fact, I talked to Scott after your match, and I said, really, your shot, because he had a super look on 23 and 4, spinning whatever you was. That was.
I threw up
That was a crux prime. That was a crux prime.
One and a half crux
So
prime.
I said to him, I said, what happened? He goes, 4 on 1-2. So you were hitting 1-2 so regularly that in 3 or 4 shots,
Created hang.
it
It's
changed
probably
his
the
whole
most,
look.
probably the most accurate I've been in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
where-
You
but I
were
mean, honestly,
splitting
there's
that
nowhere to
board.
throw it.
Yeah, there's nowhere to go. And if you hit 2.5, it was a 4-pin or higher.
Yeah.
So you had 2 and you had 1.5, and that was it. And you hit it almost every shot.
I can say that, but
Yeah, it was great bowling. Really, really, congratulations.
yeah.
So,
Like I said, at the end of the day,
Anyway.
Steven,
yeah.
my man.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah.
It means
Like I
a
said
lot.
before,
It-
well,
it-
we didn't get this on the air, but NEBA's in a great place. The young bowlers coming up like yourself.
Andrew Robitaille yesterday put on a good show.
Yeah, but
That kid
just,
throws it good.
Bowled
You know,
really
Aaron,
well.
Steve Young, and he throws it good.
He'll be Youth of the Year, by the way, it looks like.
Congratulations to him. He
Some
throws it good. He,
points
well, like
there,
I
yeah.
said, we're in a good place. So, Steven, congratulations.
thank you.
Congratulations to Amanda winning Woman Bowler of the Year.
Jay Johnson.
Jay Johnson's got the
Player of the
Bowler
Year.
of the Year pretty much wrapped up.
Great bowlers, and
it
they
would
were all
be a
here today.
miracle
Doesn't even have to
not
show up.
to.
Nope.
Yeah. And
'Cause you're not
Viali's got a lead in the senior race.
Got close.
Kirker looking good for super senior, and top 16. I think I had this down here.
I should
Let's
be in
see.
there now.
16th is Randall Nunbar.
I passed him.
You might have passed him.
Oh, I
right?
passed him.
You were just behind him.
He
I
passed
knew I
him.
had to make. I
He
knew I
passed
had
I
to,
was like
I knew I had to
19th
make
or
the
something
finals.
like- yeah, I was really close. So, anyway, guys,
And-
we'll
and
see you.
bowl well.
We'll see you all at Nora. Are you in the 4? Are you
I
in
am,
the
yeah.
4? Okay, and I am. Are
Yep.
you?
Huh?
Are you
Yeah,
still
I
in the
need to.
40?
I need to collect some
I
cash.
hope
Get
so.
collect your own cash.
I think I had a guaranteed
All right.
run to the final.
There we go. Good shot.
Just
so,
kidding.
anyway, top 20 out of 32 at Norwich. We'll all
Yep.
be there.
And it's going over to
we'll
next
see you
year,
guys
too.
there. That's right.
Yeah, you know, we're
All right,
looking
boys.
forward to it. Looking forward
Thank
to it.
Okay, congratulations. First singles title, Stephen, well earned.
Thank you so much.
Safe trip home.
Bruce, I'll just give you an elbow.
Oh,
and
El Fora, yes, thank you, my friend.
I've shook your hand a couple times, but yeah.
All right, and thanks so much for coming on, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks to
Thank you for having
again,
us.
Danny,
Thank you for what you
Becky,
do.
Debbie was here today, Jenna, and Nat behind the desk, trying to keep this place running in the face of some serious odds with bad internet, no credit cards, other types of things. So, you know, thanks a lot. Really, you know, Auburn, I bowl here a lot. You know, didn't put on its best face today, but it's a really good house here. It's really, you know, they do a nice job. So, anyway, guys, safe trip home, and we will see you all in Norwich for the singles, right?
Thank you so much.
See you guys.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.